Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of Sunday, May 9th, through Saturday to come, May 16th. First, I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. Anybody that considers themselves a mother, anybody who considers another person their mother, wishing your mother, who you respect in that way, mother or mother figure, a very happy Mother's Day, as happy as one may be able to have under the circumstances. I hope your home and life is filled with health and wealth and love and just everything awesome. To those who lost their mothers, there's no words that I could give you, but I know that that's happened recently, and more so than what we're used to. In many cases, because of COVID, mothers, mother figures, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, daughters. There's no words that I could give you, but my deepest and most heartfelt condolences. I hope that you too are still able to have some, again, health and wealth and love and happiness in your home, not only on Sunday, but always. Okay? That's my wish to you. So we're going to get right into it as quickly as possible. Thank you to all of you, again, who've been donating. I really appreciate it, who've been entrusting me with your energy healing. I have had anybody who's asked me to even pray for them because they had COVID or a family member had COVID. Everybody for whom I have prayed and or performed energy healing has fully recovered. Everybody. I'm not saying it's me, it's through me, and for that I'm thankful, but it is of course by the grace of God, the universe, and all things and beings holy that made it possible. But I am proud to say, anybody who asked me to pray for them or their family member or whatever during this period, even people who were in the hospital, even I told you I have a client for whom we prayed, and some of you got involved with it and donated and sent me your energy, and you prayed on it too. We all got together like Wonder Twin Powers activate. I had that client that had double cancer and got COVID and was misdiagnosed with pneumonia, and she did well. Elderly clients in India that had other conditions too that recovered. So even at that distance, I'm on a different continent, but where there is a will, especially if it's God's will, the universe's will, there's absolutely a way. So very thankful. Anybody still needing help, please don't hesitate to ask. And you don't have to have money to make a donation or to purchase energy healing in order to ask. It is free to ask, and we help a lot of people for free. And where I don't have the energy to do it on my own, I ask too. And people are a lot more kinder and generous than maybe you would think, given the way the world looks sometimes. There are still many, many wonderful people out there, and a lot of them are on my page, on my Facebook friends page. I have a Facebook friends page, Facebook, the fan page, and all of these group pages and stuff, but I'm really most active on my friend page because I like to, I'm a humble person. I remain humble, and I think that's a very important part of, I would recommend that to anybody who considers themselves spiritual in any kind of way, to make sure that you maintain that part of yourself, because if you get too high on yourself, you get ahead of yourself and rise above yourself, you can find yourself in trouble. So it comes naturally at this point, but at one point I really did put effort into remaining humble and remaining, like down to earth. I didn't want to ever feel like, people couldn't talk to me. I was too good for people. I didn't want anybody to feel that way about me, like afraid to approach me and stuff. And so I've always been really super active on like my friends page, and I talk to people and I joke with people, and then we can get serious too, and they want to talk to me about a serious matter, they know they can do that also. And so we've been doing quite a bit of that, and keep it coming, fine by me. Um, so I'm doing the video now, and hopefully it'll get up and it'll be on time. It won't be late. I've had a lot of problems, and I'm not saying that for attention or whatever. You know, I've got receipts. I've posted them on that friends page, so many of you know what's been going on with me and my YouTube channel. I've screenshot messages from YouTube and all kinds of foolishness that's been going on. So we're going to try to get ahead of this and get this video out. Let's get right into it now. So, with all the thank yous done, let's do this. I'm going to start with the Christian calendar and the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima. Isn't it crazy that it's that time of year already? So, of course, Our Lady of Fatima is one I could do very easily off the top of my head, because the larger feast day of Our Lady of Fatima actually occurs on my birthday next month. But this is the first, right? It began with May 13th in the year 1917. And let me go ahead and go to franciscanmedia.org to see what their little synopsis looks like for you. If there's any gaps, I'll fill them in from memory, okay? So, Our Lady of Fatima, between May 13th and October 13th in the year 1917, again, 3 Portuguese children, Francisco and Jacinta Marto, and their cousin, Lucia dos Santos, received apparitions of Our Lady at Cova la Iria near Fatima, a city 110 miles, or 11, right, 110, north of Lisbon. Mary asked the children to pray the rosary for world peace, for the end of World War I, for sinners, and for the conversion of Russia. For more than that, too, she actually gave them a whole host of prophecies on June 13th, many of which are said to be about World War III, that the Catholic Church took and hid. Now, they've been, of course, over time, people have claimed to have seen them and read them, and that's how I know that it's supposed to be about World War III. But what this might be from the Catholic Church or from the Christian Church. I'm sure it is from some sort of diocese, and so they have conveniently left out that information, which is pretty important, actually. Anyway, Mary gave the 3 children secrets. Yes, she sure did. Following the deaths of Francisco and Jacinta in the year 1919 and also 1920, respectively, Lucia revealed the first secret in the year 1927. Are you guys listening to these dates? So it's 1917 was the first date, which is 9/9. It's actually the same exact as my birthday. Like I wasn't born in 1917, but I was born in 1971. So 6/13/99 was the first Our Lady of Fatima, and that is also the numerology for my own birthday. Then the next one is 1919. I've been teaching on my channel since 15 or 16, that the 19 represents God the Father, right? In that sense. And then 1920 is an 1119 backwards. It's 1911. And also we've discussed 1119, even more specifically representing God the Father, and even more specific to that, King Osiris, precisely, as told to me by him. Okay. Then we move into 1927, which is another 19, because it's 19 and 9 together, which makes it 19. That's the year the first secret was revealed, given to the children from Mary. It concerned devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The second secret was a vision of hell. It wasn't hell. Again, it was World War III. Anyway, when Lucia grew up, she became a Carmelite nun and died in the year 2005 at the age of 97. So she was also alive during this century, and was able to let people know what the stuff said too. But when they were kids, the Pope at the time took all the information and tried to destroy it and hide it and stuff, as popes do. Anyway, Pope John Paul II directed the Holy See's Secretary of State to reveal the third secret in the year 2000. We don't know if he really did or not. I mean, they told us what they wanted to tell us, right? In any case, it spoke of a bishop in white who was shot by a group of soldiers who fired bullets and arrows into him. Many people linked this vision to the assassination attempt against Pope John Paul II himself in St. Peter's Square on May 13th, 1981. So the numerology is again similar. If it had been 1971, it would have been exact, pretty much. It would have been, well, in terms of numerology, right? It would have been 51399. Anyway, it was 10 years after. The Feast of Our Lady of Fatima was approved by the local bishop in 1930. What's 1930? 13. You can look at it as the 19 and the 3 separately. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So that's another one. 13 equals 4, or 11, 11, of course. It was added to the church's worldwide calendar in 2002, which is another 11, 11. The message of Fatima is simple. Pray. Unfortunately, some people, not Sister Lucia, have distorted these revelations, making them into an apocalyptic event. Yeah, no. Not apocalyptic again, World War III, for which they are now the only reliable interpreters. They have, for example, claimed that Mary's request that the world be consecrated to her has been ignored. Sister Lucia agreed that Pope John Paul II's public consecration in St. Peter's Square on March 25th in 1984 fulfilled Mary's request. The Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith prepared a June 26, 2000 document explaining the third secret, and they have that in quotes. Mary is perfectly honored when people generously imitate her response, quote, "Let it be done to me like you say," end quote. And that is found in Luke 1:38 or 1:11. Mary can never be seen as a rival to Jesus or the church's teaching authority, as exercised by the College of Bishops united with the Bishop of Rome. Yeah, so that was from a very Catholic standpoint, it seems. They have the right to equate that third vision with whatever they want. They equated it with their own pope, not surprisingly. Anyway, the very next day on the calendar, the Christian calendar, is the feast of Saint Matthias, who was an apostle. Not, of course, there's no such thing as an apostle. I don't know why that came out like that. An apostle. So we're going to talk about him now, also from franciscanmedia.org. According to Acts 1:15 through 26, during the days after the ascension, Peter stood up in the midst of the brothers. So they're saying that he became the leader of the church, basically, like the head apostle. I always think, in my opinion, and based on what I know, so my, how do they say? Not expert opinion, but like advised opinion, informed opinion, based on years and years and years of stuff I've read, and the fact that I studied a lot of this pretty extensively, even almost became a nun myself at the age of 12, went to many, many years of Catholic school, studied other religions in depth as well. Many of you know my godmother's Jewish, so I was in part raised that way, or at least taught those traditions and practices. I married a Muslim, or kind of. My children's father's grandmother owned Mosque Number 1 in Harlem, so we used to go to church and mosque, so that's how I know all this stuff. In any case, based on that, it is my opinion that Mary Magdalene was the number 1 apostle. But we're going to read from this thing, okay? So it says, Peter stood up in the midst of the brothers, about 120 of Jesus' followers. Now that Judas had betrayed his ministry, it was necessary, Peter said, to fulfill the scriptural recommendation that another should take his office. Like somebody had to step into Jesus's place or shoes. Therefore, it is necessary that one of the men who accompanied us the whole time the Lord Jesus came and went among us, beginning from the baptism of John until the day on which he was taken up from us, become with us a witness to his resurrection. And this can be found in Acts 1:21 through 22. But again, there are many, many books that have been removed from the Bible, including the books of both Marys, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus. Anyway, they nominated two men, Joseph, Barsabbas, and Matthias, and they prayed and drew lots. The choice fell upon Matthias, who was added to the 11. Matthias is not mentioned by name anywhere else in the New Testament. So because Peter stepped up into Jesus's role, that left a vacancy among the followers, the disciples, and so they filled that space. What was the holiness of Matthias? Obviously, he was suited for apostleship by the experience of being with Jesus from his baptism to his ascension. He must also have been suited personally, or he would not have been nominated for so great a responsibility. Must we not remind ourselves that the fundamental holiness of Matthias was his receiving gladly the relationship with the Father offered him by Jesus and completed by the Holy Spirit? If the apostles are the foundations of our faith by their witness, they must also be reminders, if only implicitly, that holiness is entirely a matter of God's giving, and it is offered to all in the everyday circumstances of life. We receive, and even for this, God supplies the power of freedom. On the Jewish or Hebrew calendar, much in the same way, we continue to count the 50 days following Easter leading up to the Pentecost. They continue to count the 49 days of the Omer. It's the same thing. You know, we both celebrate. In the Christian religion and in the Jewish religion, we celebrate 50 days after the resurrection as a holy event. So moving on to the celestial calendar or astrological calendar, there is much ado. Much is going on. It's retrograde season, y'all. I mean, serious retrograde season. Those of you who may have forgotten it because we've been dealing with so much else and because it normally comes earlier in the year, like by June, first week of June, we're usually exiting it and feeling great after Jupiter, for example, has been in retrograde for like 4 months and we're finally relieved. No, it's starting now. So it's like late and it's in the midst of our corona. It's like we're not getting a break. Corona, we're recovering from it, and states are opening back up, countries are opening back up, and now this. Right? Like, can we catch some free time? Seriously? The answer is no. All right, so yesterday was the full moon in Scorpio. May 7th at 6:45 a.m., full moon in Scorpio occurred, 17 degrees Scorpio. May 11th at 12:09 a.m., Saturn, which is currently located in Aquarius, goes retrograde in Aquarius. Also on May 11th at 5:58 p.m., Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, which entered the North Node or the True Node last week, and where it will remain for the next year and a half, enters Gemini. So Mercury, which rules Gemini, enters Gemini, and it is Gemini that is the True Node. 0 degrees Gemini. May 13th, so the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, at 12:17 a.m., Mars enters Pisces. So Mars has been and remains right now, as of today, in Aquarius. It moves from Aquarius into Pisces, 0 degrees Pisces on the 13th. Also on the 13th, so we've had 2 events on the 11th, now we have 2 on the 13th. At 2:45 a.m., Venus goes retrograde in Gemini, which she also rules. So both rulers of Gemini currently located in Gemini, which just became the true node. So Gemini very, very activated right now, and both of its rulers entering retrograde this week. May 14th at 10:03 a.m., the quarter moon occurs also in Aquarius. Also on May 14th at 10:32 a.m., so less than a half hour later, or almost exactly. So one is at 10:03 a.m. and the other one is at 10:32. If it had been 10:33, it would have been exactly 30 minutes. So it's 29 minutes. Jupiter goes retrograde 27 degrees Capricorn. And I'll just give this one mention because it actually occurs next week, so we'll talk about it more next week. May 17th at 4:30 a.m., the asteroid Pallas, as in Pallas Athena, goes retrograde as well. 0 degrees Pallas in a conjunction with Aquarius. So a lot of stuff going on in Aquarius, right? Mars there, Saturn there, although Mars is leaving, and Pallas there. A lot of stuff going on in Capricorn. Jupiter there, Pluto there. Both are going to be retrograde there. So that's heavy. A lot going on in Gemini. Mercury there, Venus there. Both of its rulers. And Venus will be retrograde. And it just became the true node, or the north node, as of last week. So a little bit more about these things. So Saturn entered Aquarius back in March. We talked about it then, back in March. It's going to be there until July 1st, I think it is, but is going retrograde this week. So that's what we're going to talk about. And for that, I've gone to www.tarot.com, Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. When Saturn takes a backward trip through Aquarius, all this energy and focus on groups shifts inward for us. This time becomes much more focused on the parts that we play in humanitarian efforts and the internal blockages that we need to clear out in order to be useful in the larger harmonies unfolding around us. While looking inward may not be the easiest of tasks, Aquarius's optimism and eye on potential can help us to keep things in perspective. Oh, talk about that eye on potential. I have so much Aquarius. In fact, Mars in Aquarius is my natal placement. And, you know, like especially like with men and stuff, you know, they say, don't look for potential. Don't. I give potential like so much credence and respect, and I just like take these men that maybe I see the beauty in what they could be, and meanwhile everybody around me is telling me like, no, like that's a nothing. Oh man, too funny. I guess I'm just being true to my Aquarius self. Anyway, so we're keeping this eye on potential, and that can help us to keep things in perspective. Saturn retrograde in Aquarius tells us to slow down and to balance social energy with personal work. Practice self-care, journal, talk to a therapist, connect with a trusted friend. Anything that helps us to learn and improve ourselves will flourish during this time, and we'll come out the other end ready to contribute our gifts and energy clearly, likely attracting new relationships and love interests in the process. So that's Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. Mercury in Gemini, curious, social, quick-witted, also from www.tarot.com. Mercury, the planet of intellect and communication, has 2 home signs, Gemini and Virgo. When this planet sets up camp in Gemini, a cosmic door is being swung open, helping us to become more clear-headed, objective, and mentally flexible. This is a time when we are encouraged to take in a huge breath of fresh Gemini air and to let curiosity teach our minds how to be young again. Mercury is all about facts and ideas and ways to communicate that information. Gemini is an air sign associated with cool detachment and reason. Because of this, Mercury's time in Gemini becomes the ultimate channel for information to flow through. When this power duo gets together, Thoughts rush through us at warp speed. If it feels like you're being pulled into a dozen different directions, or that you're a little more distracted than usual, there's a good chance that Mercury is in Gemini. The combination of Mercury and Gemini means we will probably be thinking in tangents, never able to follow through with a single thought for too long. Imagine a bee buzzing around inside a jar. That's what our minds are like during this transit. Mercury and Gemini are both into facts and data. Open subjects like philosophy, the meaning of life, and other big picture concerns become less important to us when Mercury moves into this sign. Because of this, talk may come more easily for all of us, even though the truth could be hard to find. If you were hoping Mercury and Gemini might give you the ideas needed to write that original novel or to come up with the next big innovation, don't set your hopes too high. Follow through is not Mercury and Gemini's strong suit. It's more likely that one idea will float into another, which will float into another. Best to keep a voice recorder on hand and to revisit these flashes of brilliance later. Mars in Pisces, sensitive, creative, and easygoing. Assertive Mars can seem out of place in watery Pisces, a sign of diffusion. It may be more difficult to focus our initiative during this transit, especially if we aren't feeling inspired. That's Pisces influence, because this is a sign that needs to have a cause or greater purpose in order to be motivated to take action. The complexity of this transit lies in the fact that while Mars is in Pisces, he'll need to adjust his Martian ways to accommodate a style that Pisces is comfortable wearing. This is not an easy task when you realize that Pisces is all about faith, compassion, healing those who suffer, and unconditional love. So how does Mars put up his dukes to fight when he's wearing a pair of angel wings? In a word, gingerly. While Mars moves through soft and ethereal Pisces, it doesn't necessarily mean our drive will disappear into thin air. After all, Mars is still Mars. Although we may have more of an urge to dream and to use our imagination during this transit, Mars in Pisces can move mountains in a subtle way when we realize that we've been given a cosmic green light to direct our energy toward inspired Pisces and action Mars. Mars in Pisces works wonderfully to combine dynamism and compassion. Mars is able to push gently, express itself creatively, and fight for a higher purpose when it is in this water sign. There's no better time to move forward with a creative pursuit or to become the leader of the pack when it comes to a charitable cause. We can save the whales, feed the homeless, fight for the right to the abused, and so much more during this incredible transit. However, we need to watch where our passions take us while Mars moves through Pisces. This pairing can manifest as blindly lashing out or indiscriminate anger. There are many noble causes that we can funnel our energy into, which is why we need to make sure that we have a clear target in sight so that we don't simply flail about. Universal Pisces often touches the artist within us. This is because Pisces knows that creative forms of expression can be so much richer than ordinary communication. So when Mars transits through this sign, we're reminded that we all need channels to take us beyond the boundaries of our mundane perspectives. Also from www.tarot.com, the Venus retrograde. A full moon in Scorpio on May 7th will signal intense, heightened feelings as well as your intuition being completely on point. So trust your gut around this time and honor those spidey senses because they will be pronounced. The major cosmic news this month occurs on May 13th, though, when Venus turns retrograde in Gemini and remains in backpedaling motion through June 25th. Matters of the heart, along with self-worth and finances, are up for review. But we'll all take a much more logical approach to these things since the retrograde is happening in the cerebral sign of Gemini. Using the mind to lead the heart can be tricky business. If you've been talking yourself into or out of a Venus ruled situation, which love certainly is, Venus rules love and abundance, and specifically money, then you'll be especially prone to confusion this time or during this time. What is the right choice? Write a list of pros and cons for each and then sit with it. If the list doesn't change again by the time Venus turns direct, then you'll have your answer. A new moon in Gemini on May 22nd might be the turning point where you finally see an option that you didn't see before. And last but not least, Jupiter retrograde, also from www.tarot.com. Exaggerative Jupiter loves to live out loud, concerning itself with expansion and the bigger picture. But when this planet starts backpedaling through the cosmos, its outward energy is turned inward. This time of introspection wants us to dig deep and to undergo changes on a personal level. If we use this period of reflection wisely, we will come out on the other side with the rewards Jupiter wants to bless us with. So, what does it mean when Jupiter goes retrograde in the serious sign of Capricorn? This is a time when we'll begin reassessing our motivations and our goals, determining whether what we're doing is not only fulfilling us on a practical level, but on a soul level as well. Are we looking towards something meaningful, or are we slogging away at something that isn't producing tangible or spiritual results? Are the practical things we're doing here on Earth aligned with our soul's purpose? Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn is the ideal time to restructure our plan if it's not taking us to where we need to go. And I didn't mention Sagittarius. When Gemini became the North Node or the true node, Sagittarius also became the South Node, because that is our mirror opposite sign. Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. So Sagittarius is also particularly activated right now. So those three again: Gemini, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, and Aquarius. I'm sorry, those four got a whole hell of a lot of shit going on right now. Not to mention several planets will enter retrograde this week. On that note, we'll go to our dice. Looks like we are beginning with Try Again, Romantic Dinner, and Eat Cake. Somebody may be celebrating something. Again, happy Mother's Day. Happy anniversary. May is a huge wedding month, so some people may have gotten married. This may be their anniversary. Congratulations if you're newly getting married during this very popular month for weddings. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday. You would be what? The second decan Taurus? Maybe it's still the first. Yeah, whatever you're celebrating. Congratulations or happy birthday or whatever applies. Try again tends to be pretty literal for me. Try again, something that you put some effort to. Like at first you don't succeed, try again. So if you feel like, your email didn't go through, your text didn't go through, you didn't get a response, or you didn't get the response you wanted, you applied for the job, you didn't hear back, whatever the case is, do try again. Relationships maybe that didn't work, but you've been feeling just sort of moved, inspired to reach out or to be receptive to them reaching out to you. It's been a long time. Go ahead and try again. That's what Judgment is all about too. It's the second time around, and that's the card with which we're about to begin our overall energy. Wasn't aware of this or ready to talk about this, but Major Arcana card 9, the Hermit, is also there right underneath it. So we'll get back to that in a second. Eat Cake, I think, and Romantic Dinner are pretty straightforward as well. Although Eat Cake has other connotations in my mind too, but I can be a little bit, I'm a Gemini. We can be a little bit freaky. So I Eat Cake can mean a few things to me. But, to each their own, I guess. So Eat Cake is back, speaking of Eat Cake. And also it was showing me the 29. So could be definitely connected to spiritual partnerships, not necessarily romantic, but possibly romantic as well. Yeah, very possibly romantic. Romantic Dinner is also back. And yes, So it could be something, again, having to do with marriage, some sort of proposal. Maybe somebody's getting engaged this week, or entering some other kind of commitment, getting back together, trying again, second time around, and for some sort of situation in your life. Again, does not have to be romantic, doesn't even have to be relationship wise. It can be something about a job. Sometimes, like, we applied for a job or something, maybe, months ago, years ago, and now we're hearing from them, or numbers up, or something like that. Maybe they weren't hiring them, they didn't need people, now they do. All those things are possible with judgment in terms of that second time around. But judgment is also about abundance that is earned, at least the way that I read it. And that abundance that's earned can come in the form of something tangible and, material, maybe financial, like money, and or it can come, in a less tangible way, like ascension. And when the universe raises you up, or when God gives you a promotion, that to me, it's better, because it also manifests down here one way or another as well. Like, if God, the universe raises you up, or God promotes you, you will, see yourself, feel yourself, experience yourself being raised up down here too, because as above, so below. So it will come in the form of some sort of, good fortune to you down here. One of the meanings in terms of relationships when judgment shows up is that we have an opportunity, we come to some sort of crossroads, and we have an opportunity to decide, like, where do we go from here, if anywhere. And that doesn't mean things are going to be fine and you're going to move forward. The answer to that question can be nowhere. Like, this is where we part ways. This is where we separate. Or, we're going all the way. Again, let's get married. Let's, whatever it is. So many, many things. And this can be familial too, right? Friends. It does not have to be romantic. This is a general reading also. So it certainly does not have to be romantic. Maybe more importantly, for this week, judgment in the tarot represents the planet Pluto, which again went retrograde recently, is the ruler of the sign of Scorpio, which just had experienced the full moon yesterday. So that could be very well why this is showing up here. And again, right behind it is Major Arcana card 9, the Hermit, which represents the sign of Virgo. And we just heard about the fact that Mercury, which is the ruler of the sign of Gemini, is also the ruler of the sign of Virgo. So they will be experiencing some of the activation as well. And we heard also, when talking about Jupiter's retrograde, as well as Mars having entered Pisces, which it does later this week, that we'll have to be introspective, right? We'll have to go within to get some answers. And that's what this card is all about. So we'll start with that. But let me just go over some of the other cards that I have here too. So I'll put these here for a second. The Ascendant Master deck. So I ended up with this white buffalo calf woman here, peace offering. And yes, it is upside down. And no, there are not any reversals in this deck. But it ended up upside down. And I felt that that had happened for a reason. So those of you familiar with my channel and my readings, I don't have to tell you that when I see this card, actual death happens, comes. I think it showed up in reverse on purpose to tell me that it's not, the message is not direct, for any of you. There might be death around us. And I think certainly, unfortunately, globally, of course, there is. We're seeing on the news every day, different countries, different states. Here in the United States, they're still experiencing, a lot of COVID deaths. There are other deaths. There was some murders. A couple of people got, run down by cops. So that's making a comeback. The guy in Georgia who lost his life jogging in February, and the video of that came out this week. The two alleged or believed, perceived, according to the video, perpetrators of that felony murder were just arrested and not given bail. So I think we're going to continue to see things around us, death around us, and maybe more personal to the extent that like your friend's grandmother, you know, like it's close to you, but also removed. It's not happening, you know, to you and yours. We may see some of that if something is closer. So I just wanted to make a point of the fact that it was in reverse, or they're all in reverse. But, you know, this is the way the deck goes. Okay. So this is the Angel Tarot and the Animal Tarot mixed up. And we're beginning with the Three of Spring, or Three of Wands. So this could be the Jupiter, this could be the Mars, or connected to, you know, the energy of Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Stop to take time to review and to make long-term plans, capitalizing upon your past successes. It's appropriate to pat yourself on the back for all of your accomplishments, but you may also need some patience for the next phase to play out. So this is about abundance too, that we know is coming, we can count on, we should believe it so that we can receive it, right? Keeping that positive thought in our mind, holding the intention, but it's not going to, like, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and have this abundance. This abundance is something that's coming, right? That you're supposed to, again, believe you can count on it and start making plans as if you have it, believing so much. It's so much about faith that I'm going to get ready now because it's coming soon. This is, my daughter used to laugh at me. So when my divine masculine and I would get into these periods of not talking and stuff, separation, right? And let's say, you know, during that period, we're in separation now. He shut me down. He told me we're not speaking or whatever. He needs a break, whatever the case was, right? And then I go shopping. I go grocery shopping, and dog food is on sale. I buy the dog food, knowing like that period's going to come and go, and we're going to be talking again, and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to be around the dog, and dog food's on sale. I want to feed the dog. So I buy it, like knowing, anticipating that that's going to happen. And it, of course, you know, would. That's the way it works. That's what the Three of Wands is about. It's like that sort of thing. Let me buy a plane ticket now while they're on sale, because I know the world is going to reopen, right? The world can't stay closed. So eventually I'm going to be able to go. Let me believe, let me have that faith that it not only is it going to be open, but I'm going to be of good health and mind and, you know, all the wherewithal to travel and to have a good time and go on vacation next year. So let me buy my ticket now. It's that sort of thing. And here's the ability to do that, right? Right behind it, also upright, is the Ace of Autumn, so the Ace of Pentacles. You can expect a windfall of abundance, such as money, timely assistance, a serendipitous meeting, or rewarding advice. You may be offered a fabulous new job or promotion, or the prospect of a profitable business venture or investment. Okay? And maybe that is, again, a job coming back to you second time around through judgment. You got to think of all these things together, too, in the context of each other. Right behind that, the Six of Water, so the Six of Cups. This is something from your past coming up. Again, maybe this is abundance you earned in the past, either through your good works, and you're being paid back for your karma, and it is Jupiter coming through for you, or it's some sort of labor that you've performed that is coming back, or it's a relationship or something with somebody from your past, siblings, your parents, your kids, soulmate. The Six of Cups of Water is a soulmate card. Something is returning. Memories from your history or childhood. Issues regarding children and romanticizing the past. And it's very, very positive. Again, this is something we are celebrating. The Three of Water, the Three of Cups. This is a card of reuniting with friends, family, romantic interests, getting back together, social, being social. So whether you're having to be virtual or you're actually able to get together and see your friends, depending upon where you live, this is about you doing that, right? A celebration, a wedding, graduation, or a birth announcement, and the need to have more fun. So some of us, again, maybe actually getting married, engaged, all those things happening. And boom, here's the more support proof of that, confirmation. It is Major Arcana card 10, the wheel, which does in fact represent the planet Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius, which it rules, as well as the fixed signs like Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo. A time of positive change. A situation suddenly moves forward and fortune is on your side. So maybe your finances were stuck before, or something in your life was stuck, and then all of a sudden it moves because Jupiter helps it to move. You see? And then if it involved you making a decision, you're guided to not only make that decision, but then, you know, let people know that you're not to be pushed around, and you hold your ground. You stand your ground on that decision unless you decide you want to change your mind. You don't let other people change your mind or push you around or bully you, make fun of you, like mock you because of what you've chosen. You know, you stand firm on it. Defend your beliefs and decisions. Stand your ground, but choose your battles wisely, because we're not going to fight every fight either. That doesn't make sense either. And the Dreamer, Major Arcana card 0, the Dreamer, is the Fool in the traditional tarot. A leap of faith. Follow your dreams, at least to unexpected opportunities. This is about a brand new path. We never walked this path before. It is a brand new situation, maybe a whole new career. Our other career may be ended, right? Or we got laid off or furloughed and whatever. We're starting something new, perhaps. That's just an example. And so this is the brand new path. We are recently divorced, or we're getting divorced, so we're first time single, and so that's a brand new path. We're just now moving out of our, you know, family home, parents' home, kids' home, whatever, and so that's a brand new path. Different for everybody. There could be some sadness associated with this new opportunity because we're leaving something behind, right? There's something we're going to be nostalgic about that we're leaving behind in the past. So that's what this comes up for, the 3 of Winter of Swords. Sadness is part of life, but you don't have to endure it alone. You may need a little time to heal, but once you work your way through the emotions, you'll be stronger than before. It's going to go on for days. All these cards are upright. Major Arcana card 2, the High Priestess. Listen to your intuition. Have patience and consider carefully what you want before acting. So, High Priestess represents the sign of Gemini, or perhaps a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. There's only one High Priestess in the deck. You know, she is not like the queens. There are 4 different queens. She is unique in that sense. She's very attractive, very smart, super wise and intuitive, psychic, and very independent and capable and able to make decisions on her own. But she likes to think them through first. She likes to get it figured. She likes to use all of those things I described about her to come to a decision, not to just, you know, jump into one, not to rush to judgment, right? Likes to use that wisdom, use her psychic abilities, and see what makes the best sense. And then she makes a decision. And she doesn't let anybody push her around. She holds up that 7 of Wands to defend herself with. And she may not even tell anybody. That's how she avoids fighting needless battles too. She may not even tell anybody what she's doing, right? She keeps her stuff, as they say, like under cuff. You know, real G's move in silence, and that's what she's a real G. And so she doesn't tell people what she's doing. She doesn't want anybody to mess up what she's doing, and she gets it done. You could say maybe she's combining that energy with one of fire, because the Queen of Fire, or Queen of Wands, is super independent and capable and confident that she's going to get the job done. And she does. She's also a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. And according to this, intelligent and graceful, in addition to confident and warm. Stretch your wings and fly. Don't underestimate yourself. Assert your independence. I don't know what I was seeing. I'm here squinting. I'm here squinting though. Assert your independence and creativity. Okay, this is the last upright card, is the Knight of Air, so the Knight of Swords, which also tends to be about a decision that you're needing to make, or that you're waiting, right? So you're waiting someone else to make a decision, or both. Like once they make a decision and you find out the information, then you can make your decision, take off, right? The Knight of Air, Knight of Swords, is intelligent, decisive, idealistic, and tireless. Also a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options so you can come up with creative solutions. So just the same way that I described the High Priestess would do it is what the Knight of Swords does, right? Because she is a Knight of Swords. I said it represents the sign of Gemini most directly. All right, so lastly, I have my Keepers of the Light Oracle. And beginning with Freya and phases and cycles. This card is so Scorpio for me with the raven and the full moon. So it's very full moon in Scorpio too. There's a beginning with every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. So this talks about, right here, the ending. Remember, that's the place, the sadness maybe. We're leaving something behind, but new beginning. That it's totally the Three of Swords and the Fool, you know? Also upright right behind that is the Divine Director. Intervention and purpose. Divine intervention is occurring. Know that you're being guided. Happiness is your purpose. Amen to that. And then Isis, also representative of the High Priestess or Gemini energy too, and that of the Magician in the tarot. Magic manifesting is the name of this card. Your dreams, visions, and goals are becoming reality. Stay focused. I guess they wanted me to also see Odin and Psychic Insight. Your third eye is open. See truth for what it is. Follow your intuition. So I'll just stick this arbitrarily in here now. And, what a treat. Master Jesus and forgiveness. You're on the path of light, love, and forgiveness. Father healing is possible at this time. So that may be with whom we are making up and what we should look forward to in terms of the Judgment card and the Three of Wands, that abundance, like getting our family back, our friends back, all those possibilities. Speaking of the Judgment card, I'm going to go back to those for a second and pull one card for each element, beginning with that of fire. I do want to say, though, about the Judgment, one of those cards that we saw about the need to make a decision and or awaiting some sort of decision, then Judgment's meaning of being careful of rushing to judgment, also super important there. Like if you tend to do that, like to jump to conclusions, you may want to be more aware of it right now to sort of ensure that you don't do that. All right. So other than that, again, I'm going to begin with the fire element. Your card is the Six of Cups. Very nice. Oh, we just saw the Six of Cups. So here's another one that energy is doubled for you. So really you're dealing with something from your past. Something nostalgic, maybe. It could be a soulmate. It could be an ex that's returning. Mercury is good for that, by the way, for bringing exes back to bear. When it shows up like this, though, it also wants to remind us, in the most general sense of the card, that we don't want to spend too much time, right? It's awesome to have memories, right? It's precious to have memories. But we don't want to spend too much time to the extent that we get stuck in the past thinking about the past, right? We don't want to get so stuck on like the good old days, because then some of us have the propensity to rush to judgment about ourselves and to say things like, for example, to ourselves, like, oh, my best years are gone. You know, I missed my opportunity for that job or for that woman, for that man, for that life. You know, I'll never be XYZ. And you put yourself in a really dangerous place when you do that, at risk of self-fulfilling prophecies and bringing negative beliefs to bear about yourself or in your own life, right? Bringing about negativity in your own life. So, you know, yes, remember fondly the good things about the past, but be careful not to become fixated on it, is your message. Fire signs: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Taurus. Your card is the Six of Wands in reverse. I like all the sixes. Sixes about equality and equity and love and just everything that's awesome. And the Six of Wands in general is a card of victory. However, showing up like this in reverse, it warns us that we may want to watch where we place our trust or in whom we place our trust. It's very possible that there is at least one person, it's often just one person, at face value, on the surface, it seems like this person is a good person, is your friend, is a supporter, somebody you can trust. It could be a friend, it could be somebody with whom you work. Um, so in terms of competition, because the Six of Wands can be again about winning and winning a competition, so it could be somebody that with whom you compete for whatever reason. So maybe work, um, or career. Maybe you both own the same sort of business, and so there's a competitive thing going on between you. But otherwise, you think that you're getting along and you're friends, like maybe like P Diddy and and Jay Z, right? They both do the same thing, but then you see them hanging out. But I'm sure they have a rivalry as well, right? That sort of thing. Um, this person on the surface looks like somebody that you can trust, but in some way they really may be jealous or negative and trying to send like negative energy your way. Use that high priestess energy that we started with, and that we just talked about. Use that intuition, that psychic ability, your gut feelings. What is your heart telling you about this person? If you're getting feelings, don't ignore them, because like you don't want to hurt the person's feelings, or you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you ignore your feelings. Be careful of that. Trust your instincts about people and situations, and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Seven of Wands. All right, that Seven of Wands was for all of us. Wow, speaking of that, Seven of Wands is the card for us air signs. So that was Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Sorry, I didn't point that out. Seven of Wands is the card for us air signs. On that note, that was a nice segue, right? That they set me up for. Um, so yeah, don't, as I was telling them, don't hesitate to, and maybe there's a huge message in here for Cuspians too. Like in the natural progression from this Six of Wands in reverse to the Seven of Wands upright. Don't be afraid. Don't hesitate to stand up for yourself and be super clear with people about what, where you stand on whatever issue. Spell it out for them. And in some cases, you're going to find that even helps them. Like you could do them a service by being very clear. Like, oh, okay, I didn't get that's what you meant. Oh, I didn't get that's where you're coming from. Now I see. So it can be positive for both of you. Also, speaking of positive, this card can mean positive change coming to your life, maybe specifically in the area of your career. So it's funny that with this card, I thought that it might be talking about career or job, or down to the job or something, some sort of competition, because this card can definitely mean that as well. Water signs. Your card is the Eight of Swords upright. We were on such a nice little roll there, and then Eight of Swords, boom, right? All right, so that there's the pretty commonly known meanings of the Eight of Swords, which we're all like familiar with. It's about being stuck, or not being stuck, feeling as if we're stuck. So what that means is something has us feeling inhibited. And it could be ourselves, right? It could be our lack of confidence, lack of esteem, similar to the Seven of Swords. We hold ourselves back because we fear the unknown. We fear change. Maybe this change that's coming. Maybe we're talking about some Cuspians here too. This change that's coming could be what we fear. Like it's the unknown. It's on that side. I don't know how I feel about that. I'd rather hold on to what's around me and stick to that. But that's changing from under your feet. So that makes you have fear too. If you're saying I want to hold on to doing things the way I've always done them, but now all of a sudden you're finding you have to work at home, and you got to wear a mask, and you got to change your route maybe and do things differently, and that's not the way you're used to doing them. You're sort of forced into that place, and that can happen in other areas of your life too. That was just an example. So the card shows up to remind you that there are blessings on the other side there. Like, don't be afraid of the unknown. Once you make it through over there, you're going to see, like, oh, this is what I was afraid of. This is good stuff for me. Especially in consideration of the other cards, too. So be careful. The same way I was talking about, like, self-fulfilling prophecies here and here. Be careful with, your thoughts and what you say and your behavior in terms of negativity. And remember, or, like keep in mind that the things that we say and do and the choices that we make, the decisions that we make, all of this stuff affects our outcome. There's much power in our thoughts and in our speech, and we have the ability to manifest negative, self-fulfilling negative prophecies, or to manifest, the abundance that the universe has to offer. And it's sort of up to us, right? That the free will kicks in there. All right. So one more spread. Put these down. You know what? I'm going to just take these away for a second. And we looked at a bunch of these. We got so many messages from these already. Let's see what else they have to say by first mixing them up first. And you'll recall the cards that we did see. I'd also just sort of stuck them in the deck at random already. How awesome is that? That brings us to Major Arcana card 13, Release or Death, which represents the sign of Scorpio and the planet Pluto. The end of a phase or situation. Spiritual transformation. It's time to move on. So whether it is literally the end of a phase or situation for you, or this is more so about your ascension, your growth, your expansion in terms of your spirituality, either way, it's time to leave behind what was old. So either you're leaving that old, lesser vibe version of yourself, you're leaving that behind, or you're leaving back an actual, again, phase or situation in your life and moving on to something better. Crowning the masculine. The Two of Winter. This card is about the need to make a decision and being afraid of what other people are going to think. We just read about this, right? We should have known this was coming. Procrastination and worrying about what others will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. Masculine, surrounded by Major Arcana card 5, Unity, or the Hierophant. Traditional viewpoints or methods. Spiritual organizations. Seek out mentors and like-minded friends. So this has a few messages, right? The Hierophant is all about commitments and contracts. It can definitely be about deepening a commitment in terms of friendship or business, romantic interests, anything up to and even including like marriage, those things. But for me, it also comes up with like what we were just talking about, that friend that's maybe not really a friend, or that lower vibe version of ourselves. It had friends too. We got to leave not only the lower vibe version of ourselves behind, but we got to leave those friends behind too. People, places, and things with which we surround ourselves that no longer align with our vibration. We got to make adjustments, or it's a good idea, right? To choose, use your free will to choose to make adjustments to the people, places, and things with which you surround yourself when you outgrow them spiritually. So that's what the Hierophant means for me too. Represents the sign of Taurus and the planet Venus, which we've also talked about quite a bit today. Masculine subconscious, the Seven of Earth, seeds well planted, a temporary pause in action. If it looks like nothing's going on around you, like nothing's happening, that's first of all not the case. And there's certainly no need for you to worry about it. More importantly, you've already done what you need to do to get things sort of moving and going, and they likely are behind the scenes, and what has to happen in front of you will also when it's time. Crowning the feminine, the Ace of Water, Ace of Cups, falling in love, or the resurgence of a relationship. spiritual growth and enhanced intuition, maybe even a new home. So we saw that an ex might be returning. We had two Six of Cups here, especially if you're a fire sign, right? You got the Six of Cups again. So it could definitely be that a relationship. What do they call it? Resurgence of a relationship. Whether it's a friend or a romantic relationship, it's often a romantic relationship. Or you could be meeting somebody new, whether in person or virtually, or however you have to do it, doing things differently, right? Maybe that's why some of us were afraid with the water energy, because we're meeting people in a different way than what we're used to. So we're inhibited. It's okay. Like you have the ability to free yourself of that fear. Also, this can be about any kind of abundance, including a new home, getting married, having a baby, and it's emotional fulfillment, right? That's what's important. So it's something about you being happy. Mirroring Major Arcana card 5 is yet another Major Arcana card that equals 5. It is balance or temperance in the traditional tarot, which represents the planet Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius, which it rules. The need for balance and moderation, cooperation and compromise. Wait for perfect timing. So this is the card of restoration, recovery, healing and holding, I like to call it. It is very largely about balance. It can often be about balance and where we need to achieve that in our lives. But perhaps more importantly, in consideration of the other cards, which this can be about relationship, the Two of Swords, the Hierophant can definitely be about relationship, whether again it's familial or friendship or romantic or whatever, business relationship. This too can be about us having differences with other people and figuring out a way to not dismiss those differences or disregard those differences, but to come together and collaborate despite those differences, to figure out a workaround or a way that we can still work together, even though, you know, you are black and I am white. We can still figure out a way to come together. Maybe we can decide to make some gray together, or stripes, or polka dots, whatever. We figure out a way to collaborate despite the differences. Feminine subconscious. The 7, Major Arcana card 7, the Chariot. An important achievement, self-discipline and willpower, public recognition. So this is a card about winning too. Also moving, maybe a new home. And then home is where the heart is. So it can be about relationship too, right? A new home, love under new management. That can be what it's about. It could be about literal moving or traveling or moving forward, like in a metaphoric sense too. Moving towards success, winning something actually. Maybe in terms of the competition, the last spread that we saw, this is you being successful. Feminine. Crowning. The King of Autumn, King of Pentacles. He is compassionate, accomplished, charismatic, and grounded. Everything's going to turn out great. Projects will be stunningly successful. Exciting new career opportunities are possible. And the money or resources that come your way will be invested wisely. King of Pentacles, very nice to see here next to the Ace of Cups. Because again, this is about emotional fulfillment. Now here, you Two of Swords people may have a decision to make about this King of Pentacles. Maybe about the actual person. Can be an actual person in your life. Perhaps they are a direct earth sign, a Taurus, a Virgo, or Capricorn. Someone likened to those traits or attributes. Maybe this is your boss or a job you're having to make a decision about. And it can be, for example, in terms of what you want versus what other people may think, you know, maybe you have been a doctor. Maybe you've been a nurse, right? And these are very highly respected positions. Perhaps you had enough though, because of what's been going on. Nobody could blame you. All we can do is thank you for the service that you've given us. We can certainly not blame you for for having had enough and maybe needing a break, right? Maybe needing to take a break, travel, move on for a while. And so you decide you want to do something maybe a little bit more administrative in the meantime. And people say, what are you, crazy? You're a doctor. You know, like you got to be nuts to give that up. But you got to do what's in your heart to do, what your soul is moving you to do. Not what society may deem is appropriate or, the more respectable or whatever, right? So that's just an example. At the root, a foundation. Major Arcana card 1, the Magician. There is magic in the air. You can manifest everything you need to be successful. Major Arcana card 1, the Magician, represents the sign of Gemini. All the signs that we talked about seem to be popping back up here. At the heart of the matter, it is another 3 of Cups. So celebration is the heart of the matter this week. Celebration, happiness, reunion is the heart of the matter this week. Being social. You have an exciting reason to celebrate, such as an engagement, wedding, graduation, or a birth announcement. Remember to cherish those you love. What we could be celebrating is a new relationship, a new home, a new job, coming together, collaborating with somebody that we hadn't been getting along with or we had differences with, recovering something that we had lost or that we were lacking that had been taken from us. We successfully manifested it. That's what we're celebrating. We can move on. That's what we're celebrating. We had done the work. We had put in the seeds, and now we're reaping what we've sown. That's what we're celebrating. But we're going to further clarify. I don't care. I know this reading must be long as hell. Atop the 2 of Swords is the 2 of Wands. So again, there's a decision that we're needing to make about a relationship is very likely. Some sort of partnership, whether it is familial, career-oriented, romantic, whatever. You've come into your own. New partnerships or contracts. Continue to move forward. Right, here's the new contract right here sitting underneath it with the Hierophant. To clarify, the Hierophant, though, is the Knight of Water. He is emotional, romantic, enthusiastic, and contemplative. Falling in love or wedding proposals. Right, the 2 of Wands or Fire is the Twin Flame or Divine Union card of the Tarot. And wedding proposals sitting here atop the Hierophant, which is about weddings often. The need to balance emotions, which it's mirroring, or an invitation to a social event. It couldn't have landed in a better row. You know what I mean? Atop the 7 of Pentacles is another Magician. So now we have a Magician sitting next to the Magician. Again, this is about you reaping what you've sown. You're manifesting those things that you've seeded. You put the seeds down. You are ready. You have the resources or the ability to manifest them. And life is magical. Some of you may be having a Gemini baby soon. That could be what this is about. That's the seed. And it's part of, it's coming out of this divine connection here. That's what we're going to celebrate. Atop the Ace of Cups, crowning the feminine. Now we have the King and Queen of Autumn or Pentacles sitting here right next to each other. Thoughtful, creative, warm, and sensible. This could be learning of a pregnancy. They could be, newly married. Maybe a Taurus is involved. And maybe, that could run into June or into Gemini time. Possibly something going on with them. Whatever the case is, the Queen of Earth or Pentacles is thoughtful, creative, warm, and sensible. Make time for those around you. Take a sensible approach and deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. We have this Queen of Pentacles sitting atop the Ace of Cups. So again, this is either the energy of emotional fulfillment coming to you through some way, maybe through a job, through finances, through something material, and or an earth sign. And this could be definitely about a partnership again. Now we have the King and Queen of the same suit sitting here next to the 2 of Wands. Atop Balance or Temperance is Major Arcana card 11, so another 2. Strength, which represents the sign of Leo. Great inner strength. Release harsh judgments. Instead, we're going to try to exercise some forgiveness and compassion. So just like I said, temperance is about coming together, collaborating, getting beyond our differences. So is strength in this regard too. And very likely having to do again with a partnership, with a coupling. The way we're going to get past our differences or move beyond them is through forgiveness and compassion. Atop the Chariot is the Lovers. This definitely is like this is a love reading for somebody. Major Arcana card 6, the Lovers, which represents the sign of Gemini, the planet Venus. Intimate relationships. Carefully weigh your decisions. Good health. So it could be moving on with, a partnership, moving in, between the Ace of Cups being here and the Chariot being here. Both can be about moving, literally. So this could be cohabitation, figuring out how to collaborate, how to blend and move our family together. That's what we're celebrating. That's the couple there. Again, maybe having a baby, actually getting married and or engaged. Maybe recently married. That popped into my head for a second. A lot of Gemini here at the bottom. I think it's June. This whole row is Gemini. The Lovers, the Magician. I was feeling June very strong here. Gemini actually starts in May though. May 21st, Biggie's birthday. I don't know. I'm definitely feeling something with hope. Maybe it'll come in a little clearer. Hopefully it will. At least by the time I'm trying to get the video up, so I'll just type out what it was I saw or whatever happened, or I'll talk about it in the love reading. Sometimes I do that. I say, oh, I realized after I finished the reading this. So we'll see. Clarifying the King of Pentacles, or atop the King of Pentacles, the Seven of Winter, Seven of Swords. Didn't I talk about this too? And look at this bird. He's got a key in his mouth. I said cohabitation, living together. Very possible for somebody here. And maybe, again, earth signs, maybe specifically Taurus. Other than that, the Seven of Winter or Swords, as I mentioned before, is about a lack of confidence, a lack of esteem, or can be. It can be about loss and the need to recover something, loss, having something taken from us, actual thievery and theft, feelings of lack, being afraid to take risks. And I think that may be the strongest meaning here. Being afraid to take risks, being afraid to put your belief and your faith behind yourself in terms of manifestation here. And where it comes to doing something that's maybe the unpopular choice, right? Not what society would do. It involves risk, right? And that could be what you're afraid of doing. And it may be, again, connected to a job specifically, and or a person in your life that may very well be a direct earth sign. Clarifying the Magician, this second Magician, atop the second Magician, is Major Arcana card 8, Justice. So it's still in the element of air. Fair and just decisions. Fair and just decisions. Do what you know is right. Stand up for your beliefs. As I've said several times during this reading. I was talking about a different card though. I was talking about that Seven of Wands. So the Major Arcana card 8, Justice. 8s are about karma. Karma definitely connected to Jupiter. Jupiter, the planet of karma, the planet of luck. As a Saturn is very much tied to karma as well. Saturn is one of the signs we talked about going retrograde this week in an air sign, in the sign of Aquarius. So that can be what this is about. But manifesting, doing what's right, manifesting what you deserve, right? Your just due, what should be coming to you. And somebody, because I felt this earlier too, for some, there could be actual legality, and beyond actual legality, it can be actual criminal, like somebody could be in jail and maybe coming out this week, or you'll learn that they're coming out soon. Like something is going to be corrected in that regard. Or maybe they get out of having to go to jail. Like somebody is trying to maybe steal, take their freedom, lock them up with this key, and they, will not be prosecuted. There'll be the judgment in their favor or something, and that will be what you're celebrating. Lastly, at the heart of the matter, atop the Three of Cups, is the Knight of Fire. So this could be Jupiter to the rescue. Again, Jupiter is in charge of karma and luck as well. The Knight of Fire, Knight of Wands, is passionate, adventurous, self-assured, and restless. A sudden event that needs immediate attention. Time is of the essence. Think things through carefully. The Knight of Fire may be an actual person in your life. Again, they may be a direct fire sign, an Aries, Leo, maybe specifically a Leo. We had the strength, right, sitting right next to it. Leo or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, or this could be Mars, this could be Jupiter, that energy coming through to bless us. Further to that, let's do an advice card. Let's go ahead. I mean, like, to hell with the time at this point. Let's go ahead and do one from each deck. Looking for one from the Animal Tarot. Here we go. Here we go. Overall energy, you recall, was death, or is death. All about something ending, something beginning. And further to that, for the masculine, from the Keepers of the Light Oracle, is Lady Venus. How appropriate is that? Downloads and understanding. Truth is being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. So keep your eyes peeled for those, and your ears peeled. You could be getting those messages in any kind of way. Clairaudience is something that comes through your ear, the message. Could be clairvoyance. You might have some forethought about something that's going to happen. You could get actual downloads of information, intuitive thoughts, gut feelings, signs that you may physically see, synchronicities, all those things possible. She's here entering the great communicator of the zodiac, Gemini, which she rules. So it's about communication in all forms that she's going to be sending to you guys. Very nice. For the feminine, Lady Portia, more justice, more Libra, divine order. Do what you feel is right. An important lesson is unfolding. And not just what is right, but make sure it's like what is right for you. From the Ascended Masters deck to the masculine, persistence, says Lou. It's very Nine of Wands, right? Keep going, don't give up, even though you feel like you may, you start to feel beat up. You've had enough, you can't take anymore. This says keep going. For the feminine, see the other person's point of view. Don't rush to judgment. Maybe how we're going to collaborate, how we're going to work through differences is by seeing the other person's point of view, having the strength and compassion to forgive ourselves, them, and move through it is what's going to be necessary to make amends. For the masculine, the Four of Autumn, Four of Pentacles. Be cautious about living a life of extremes or seeing things in black and white terms. Consider, for example, whether you're spending too much versus hoarding your wealth, or giving too much emotionally versus building up walls that keep people out. Well, the Four of Autumn for me, the same way I talked about a job that maybe wasn't fulfilling for you anymore, can definitely be about that, specific to a job, and also a relationship. I've described it many times as that job that you don't even want to get up in the morning to have to go to. You hate the job, it hates you, you hate the people there, they hate you. But there's one good thing about it is that you get a paycheck. You may not even like the paycheck necessarily. You just like the fact that you get one, right? So you're able to pay your bills and stuff. But that's not fulfilling, right? That's not emotionally fulfilling, like the Ace of Cups. That doesn't do your soul good. And maybe there is a job that you could fall in love with that would do your soul good, or that you feel is your purpose. I was put here to do this, and you want to do it. And the same can go for relationships, right? Like, we're together. I don't we don't want to even look at each other in the morning. You know, like I wake up to this, they probably feel the same way about me. We don't talk, we don't whatever, but we do split the bills. That's not enough reason to stay with somebody, you know? Um, so that could be what it's happening too with this Seven of Swords and this Justice, especially looking at the pictures again with the key and the legality. It could be about let's separate, let's divorce, let's move out from each other and pursue the abundance that we each have on either side. That's another possibility. Um, this means not to hold on to anything that's not serving us, you know, all tightly like some of us may be, and also not to avoid taking a risk and reaching out for something that is meant for us and going after it. Feminine, it's another Lovers. Again, Major Arcana card 6 represents the sign of Gemini, or perhaps another air sign. True and long lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. And for the masculine, talk about manifestation and all these magicians. It is the Nine of Water, Nine of Cups, which is all about the manifestation. Again, having been successful or being successful, your wish comes true. Concerns fade away and you have a love of life. Because that thing you've been praying on, that thing you've had a focused intention upon, you finally bring it toward yourself. That's what manifestation is. And lastly, for the feminine, we're ending on the Ten of Fire, the Ten of Wands. Too much work. Accept help from others. Life is out of balance, right? We need that 50-50 energy. Life is out of balance, and that can cause stress-related health concerns. So definitely we're guided to look for balance in our life, to not just spend our time working and being or feeling overly responsible and like life has no meaning but the fact that we get up in the morning and go to work and come back. We need some social time in our life. We need some fun too, and maybe opportunities to reconnect and reunite with people from our past. Hope you guys have enjoyed the weekly. I will be back with the love reading. Namaste. Like the video if you like the video. Share if you care. And subscribe if you are not yet subscribed. Hit both the bell and the subscribe button. Thanks. Bye.